You ever enjoy buying a lotto ticket once in a while? Just a little dollar gift certificate for hope out there?
Of course.
Just wait till you have to play that game with your child's elementary school.
Oh, that's not fun. Or think that maybe you're moving into a neighborhood that has an elementary school right across the street and you're so excited for your kid to go there. Well, it might not be the school that they're actually going to.
That's right. Even though you could hit it with a rock from your front yard, you are not guaranteed a spot there when you're moving to the Denver public school system, which is what we're going over today in depth and detail. By the end of today, you are going to understand what the Denver Public Schools School Choice program is, how to rank your schools, what an enrollment zone is versus a boundary school, and so many things that you don't even want to know that you know, but you want your kid to get into the right school.
Yes, this is one of the most convoluted topics we've ever talked about. So much so that you could hire a consultant right now, $300 an hour, to walk you through the Denver Public School Choice system.
And we are not claiming to be that experts, so we are not charging $300 an hour for our information about the Denver Public Schools. So our goal is to give you a good overview, and if you want to go hire that gal, you sure can.
What are we real experts in?
We are real experts in real estate. We're Jake and Megan Friedel, your brother-sister real estate team, full-time real estate agents, part-time tour guides to everything Southern Denver living. So whether you're moving here in 9 days or 900 days, we are here to be your resource to help you find your perfect place. And today we're going over the Denver public school system.
And by the way, we'll just say, there are a lot of real estate agents out there that are claiming to really help people buy and sell in the area every single day. We're really doing that. You can go look us up on homes.com. That's public record. You can see that we really do eat, sleep, work, play here, and guide people through their Denver school public choice system.
All right, enough of this shameless self-promotion. Let's hop into the Denver public schools. Okay, Megan, where do we start with the most complicated video topic we've ever taken on?
I think we just start with why. If you're moving here from out of state and you're used to your school just being whatever the closest school to where you live is, this is going to feel super convoluted and unnecessary, maybe even.
Yeah, and you can join all the parents in Denver on Reddit about how upset you are and confused about why in the world they would choose to do this.
Even locals. It's confusing for locals too. So don't feel like you're behind, because everybody's a little confused here. But the reason that they started doing the Denver Public School Choice was because it solves a couple problems. And number one is one that I could speak to. When I was in high school, I was an easy 3-minute walk away from the closest high school, but that wasn't actually the high school that I was assigned to. I was assigned to one that was more like a 12-minute drive. That worked out. That was actually the high school that we had wanted me to go to anyways. But this seeks to solve this problem where consistently over time, as geographics change and the amount of kids in every area starts to change and we build new schools, the school that you are designated to is not always the one closest to you. So this helps to, number one, remedy that issue.
And another good reason for this is, what if the local school isn't the right school for your kid? What if you have an individualized education plan and you need, you're looking for more resources and you're looking for a different place? Or maybe your kids experience bullying at a school and you need to get them out of that school. This actually is a pretty cool thing for those situations. So there's definitely some pain points, which we're going to tell you all about, but there's also some good things. We're not here to really be the moral judge on, is this the right way to run a city? We're just here to help you navigate this convoluted system and help you figure out where your kids are going to school. Okay, so getting started. Step one, what you need to do is go to the school choice website. So it's the DPS, type in Denver Public Schools School Choice. You're going to get brought to the website. You're going to type in your address in the school finder section, and it's going to show you all of the schools that are within your boundary. You're going to say, are you looking for early childhood education, ECE, ECE3, ECE4, those are early childhood educations for 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds, or you're going to say elementary school, middle school, high school, whatever, and it'll show you all the schools that you could possibly be placed into.
Yeah, and this is a good place to talk about the difference between your enrollment zone and your boundary school. So in your enrollment zone, this depends on where your home is located. You might have your home have one designated boundary school for you. Or you might live in an area where you have an enrollment zone where you have multiple schools that are possible for you. So if you decide that you don't care where your kid goes, then you might be assigned to your one boundary school, or you might be picked at random at one of the schools in your enrollment zone. So might be worth it if you feel like you don't care to at least just go hop on and prioritize one of the 3 within your enrollment zone.
Right, because at the very least, you don't want to be driving across town. And let's show a little map here for one of the enrollment zones. These are pretty big zones for where you could possibly be placed if you're not giving a preference. And man, if I was in one of these far schools, I'd be pretty upset because on an early morning drive with traffic, like you could be facing a half an hour drive. Absolutely insane.
And so that would be for round 1. And that is going to open up, or at least this year, it opened up in the beginning of December and it closed in the end of January. And then people found out about their choices at the end of February. So this could change in future years, but likely it might follow a similar model.
While we're there, let's talk about rounds. Round 1 is kind of like the everyone applies, everyone gets to, and it doesn't matter like when you apply, there's no time restriction. You get generally this like 6-week window. And as long as you turn in your application and your preferences by the last day of that window, then you're good. You'll be considered and given a lottery number at the same time as everyone else. If you miss that, you're in trouble and you got to wait for number 2, round 2. Round 2 is for folks who moved into the district late, maybe something changed in your family's life and you need to give up a spot and try and get another spot. In this round, time does matter. So they give preference based on timing. So the earlier, if you have to make any changes or you didn't get in round 1, you want to be as fast as you possibly can on round 2 because they will give you preference based on when you submit your preferences.
Or it's possible that maybe you only named 4 places in round 1 and you didn't get any of those 4 schools. And now you are ending up in round 2 asking again for a new set of schools.
Yeah, so don't be shy about putting too many choices on there, right? Like we said, you can put up to 12. You probably don't need 12 because as they say that it's like 91% of people across the district get either their top 1 or 2 choices. But it doesn't always work that way. So put too many on there.
Yeah, I would say that's a nuanced stat. So that you will see that stat that one of your top 2, you have a 91% chance. Well, that's for anyone applying across the board for all of the schools combined together, probably both rounds too. So you have to think, if you are looking at one of the most competitive schools and you've picked those as your top 2, your chances are probably not 91%. They're probably significantly lower. And so, take that stat with a grain of salt and just know you might want to spell out all 12.
Yeah, for example, like it's a Centennial Elementary School in the Berkeley neighborhood is highly sought after. And I would guess that if that's your number 1 choice, it's a lot lower than 91% that you're getting it. So make sure you're applying and ranking enough schools to not sell yourself short here. Okay, so you've got your list of schools and you start, it's the end of February and the school district is going to start contacting you to tell you what school you get. You might not get these things in order. So let's say you only put 6 choices on there. Your 4th place school might contact you and say, hey, you got a spot. In which case, if you accept that spot, your 5th and 6th places will drop off, but you stay waitlisted for your top 3. So go ahead and say yes to number 4 while you're waiting for your other 3, because they just can't do everything on time. So if you can say yes to number 4, and then your number 1 school calls you, you can still say yes to that one and then drop the rest of your choices.
Yeah, you'll be waitlisted for those other ones. And, speaking of waitlisted, that is a huge frustration that people often experience. You might be in round 2 and be number 4 waitlist for your top school. And that's exciting because most likely if you're number 4, you're going to get it, right? Not so much. You could easily drop down the line in round 2, which is something that a lot of our clients have experienced and expressed frustration with.
Yeah, why does that happen? Like, how do they even do that?
So you're 4 one day, you're number 20 a couple weeks later. It's because of how the priority system works. And we talked a little bit about this. There are different people that have priority over you in different circumstances. And so if someone hits round 2 on the wait list and maybe they already have a sibling enrolled, or maybe their parent is a full-time employee of the school, they are going to be suddenly placed above you in the wait list and it's going to bump you down. And it's something that does commonly happen. So I think that, even if you are 24 on the list, you do actually have a good shot a lot of the time in working your way all the way up that list. but it can be a very frustrating experience to see you as number 4 and drop all the way down that line. You should be moving up, not backwards, right? But that is something that happens. So how does UPK fit into all of this?
Universal Pre-K.
Yeah, so this is the Colorado state-funded program where you actually get 15 hours of preschool for 4-year-olds and, sometimes exceptions for 3-year-olds, where the state will fund 15 hours. So if you go over...
15 hours per week.
Good distinction, 15 hours per week. If you do go over that 15 hours per week, then you just have to pay that additional amount out of pocket. But most of the preschool programs are 15 hours a week.
So if you're looking at a public school, you probably all 15 of your hours that the public school is doing are paid for, but you can also apply it to private schools. If you're going to like a daycare program with a pre-K, you can pay for up to 15 of your hours there, even if you're doing more hours.
We'll put the site for where you apply up on the screen. You just hop on there. It is a similar system for the School of Choice, but it is a separate system. So it has its own set of rules. I did it. I didn't think it was too convoluted, but just know that's a separate program that you go do that for.
So that is funded by the state of Colorado, but it will pay for funding in whatever district you end up going to. Anyway, one more piece that we really need to dive into was, when you're ranking your schools, if you're looking for early childhood education, so you're looking for that ECE 3 or 4, these are more important that you rank tons of your choices on, because there are just not enough pre-K programs for the kids in this state. So these are highly sought after. So make sure you're putting, you think 12 is too many? I don't know. Maybe it's not. So just rank them all on there just in case.
Is there any chance that your UPK seat and your School of Choice seat conflict with each other?
There is, but it's basically that you got to screw it up. So mostly what you need to make sure you do is apply for your UPK dollars and apply for your schools. And then once you're accepted to a school, you will assign your UPK dollars to that school. So that's an important piece. Don't screw that up.
Yeah, UPK has 2 rounds similarly. So make sure you do both steps of the UPK. You have to be assigned and then you have to accept your match. You should, everywhere on the website, they make it pretty clear, but just know that there are 2 steps to that. You got to do them both.
Okay, that was a pretty good, bit about the process. Let's do some frequently asked questions because we've surely forgotten some things and some things bear repeating to this very confusing topic.
Certainly.
First question, does every family need to use the school choice program?
Okay, not every family needs to. You can certainly just allow your kid to be enrolled wherever. When I first heard of this system, I kind of thought I might be the kind of person to opt out because I'm not quite so much invested into the specifics of the school and what it offers for my kids. What I am very invested in is how close that school is to my home. And so I think pretty much everybody should probably do School of Choice, unless you just so happen to have your one boundary school be the one you're guaranteed a spot at. Probably pretty unlikely, and you probably still have to hop online to even see if that applies to you anyways.
Yeah, so at the very least, we think you should probably check in, does that? And they change the boundaries in the enrollment zones every 5 years. So just because your neighbor says hey, we're in this boundary school, you don't have to worry about that. I don't know, maybe they changed it this year. So worth hopping on to the School Choice website, just checking in what's going on for your specific address.
So we already talked a little bit about, who is School of Choice for. It's kind of for everyone. If you think it matters where your kid goes to school, you got to do it. If it matters just geographically where your kid goes to school, you got to do it. But is this an every year thing? When do people need to be aware to do it? Who really is this most important for?
Yeah, basically you need to be doing this whenever you're in a sort of transition year, if you're moving into the district, or maybe if you're in a different district and you're choicing into Denver Public Schools because you can choice in from other districts, or if you're early childhood education 3 or 4, if you're going into kindergarten, if you're moving from, sometimes the right kindy program might not be available at your home elementary school. So it could be from kindy to elementary school. If you're going from elementary to middle or middle to high school, or if you're switching schools based on your kid's interests, maybe you want to go to one of these different charter schools or magnet schools. You find out your kid has autism level 1, for example, and you need to figure out a different level of support for your kids. Any of those times are great times. And once you choice into a school, you don't have to fill out and do this every year. You'll be automatically accepted into that school until your next transition, whether that's just like a big transition from middle to high school or your own choice to transition for some other reason.
Transportation is a really big topic when we're talking about the school choice system, because if you opt in from another district, you're not going to be provided with transportation. And if you pick a school that's not in your enrollment zone, you're also not going to have transportation.
And if you pick a school in your enrollment zone, you also might not get transportation. So generally, you're eligible for transportation if you choose and get opted into a school within your enrollment zone, but you're not guaranteed it. They have general rules about this, like K through 5. If you're within a mile of your school, you won't be provided with transportation. If you're outside of a mile and you're in your enrollment zone, you are supposed to be provided transportation. And then for 6 through 12, it's 2.5 miles. So this is a huge consideration you should also be thinking about as you rank your schools, is like, how far away? Do you have the capacity to get your kids to school yourself? How are these kids going to get to school? And if this is all confusing and you have no clue and you can't figure it out on the school finder, what you can do is you can call the DPS Transportation Customer Service Hotline and ask them specifically about your address and your school, and maybe you can persuade them to make sure you get some transportation. So one more term to throw at you guys, which is the right to attend school. And that is the school. It might be your boundary school. It is one of the schools in your enrollment zone. It just means like you are guaranteed a spot at that school. So Megan, is there a way to lose your guaranteed spot at your right to attend school or your boundary school?
Not really, like accidentally. You could give up that right if you say you picked your third choice as your right to attend school because there were 2 other schools you'd really rather have your kid go to. If you get into one of those 2 schools, I mean, that's a win. So you then give up your right to go to your right to attend school, but you've now placed into one of the schools you ranked higher. So there's not a world where you pick it as number 3, you don't get into your 2 you really wanted more than that, and you don't get into your third right to attend school, and you're instead stuck on the 4th one. You still have that right to attend that 3rd one. So then, Jake, is your right to attend school your boundary school or your enrollment zone school? How does that work?
Yes. So your right to attend school, if you're in an area that has one single boundary school, the boundary school is your right to attend school. If you're in an address that has an enrollment zone, your right to attend school is one of those in the enrollment zone, not any specific one. It just means you're guaranteed you have the right to attend one of them.
How do I find out if my home is in a boundary school zone or an enrollment school zone, and if there's multiple or just one, and what they are?
Easy. Go on the DPS School Finder website and see where you are. Should folks rank their boundary school if it's a school they'd be happy going to?
Yeah, I think you can rank it lower down. We pick the ones that you want to go in the order that you want to go to them, but don't just fill out 12 other schools thinking that for sure if you don't get into those 12 schools, you're then going to your boundary school. It does still deserve a place on that list in the order of the preference you want it to go.
I think what we're learning here so far is that picking the right school for your kids might just be harder than picking the right house.
Yeah, that's possible. And the nice thing is when you're coming here and you're moving to Denver and you're looking for your home, call us and we will help you figure out your right neighborhood, because no longer do you have to figure out the exact school you want your kid to go to and then pick the neighborhood that matches with that, because we have this whole school choice system. So let us help you figure out where you want to be, what you really value in a home, what you really value in a neighborhood, walk you through that, and then know that you have this school of choice to fall back on where you get to then pick your school after that.
Jake and Megan, your realtors of choice.
That was kind of lame. Should we get rid of that?
Come on, that's like my brand. Like kind of lame, but making a joke.
Okay, it's cute. Keep it cute.
Okay.